Earlier today, Brad Garlinghouse and the Ripple team were in talks with legislators and regulators while touring Washington, D.C. Many people believe that this is the end of the Ripple SEC case, and I'd like to share my thoughts with you and discuss a meeting about which I am aware occurred, which may influence the Ripple SEC case. Check out the photos from Ripple's trip to Washington, D.C., which are now available online. In this video, I'll break that down and also show you a fascinating film by Chris Larsen about the potential adoption of XRP by top banks and financial institutions. This will help you comprehend how important XRP will be in the future evolution of our financial system. You won't want to miss it, so make sure you stay for that. Indeed, I'd like to start this video with a clip of Chris Larsen. This interview, in my opinion, receives far too little attention. To be honest, I don't believe the XRP community compensates Chris Larsen enough. In contrast to Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz, attentiveness in general, Chris Larsen was a co-founder of both XRP and Ripple. As a result, I believe we must pay attention when he talks, since he does have some important insights on how revolutionary XRP will be for the entire financial system after. You've seen this clip, and we'll break it down into 10 years since the financial disaster, the infrastructure to stop. I believe the following one is still missing. In this case, digital assets can be quite useful because they can efficiently solve some of the major issues with global liquidity. The world is strapped for trillions of dollars, only to get past how cumbersome the flow of value is globally in liquidity. You can now free up trillions of dollars in capital that was previously held up if you had a truly efficient digital asset. Like XRP, which we anticipate will be the most efficient, you can make those payments rapidly as a bank or a payment provider, as a corporation, without having money on hand in every region. Chris Larsen made an odd statement. Then he asserted that even now, 10 years after the financial disaster, we lack the technology to prevent another one. So what exactly is he referring to here? And how does XRP change things? However, few people are aware that the first financial crisis, which happened in 2008, was characterized by a shortage of liquidity and delayed money flow. I attended a few movies in 2008, and one of the most essential arguments made in one of them was each of them was a key figure. The reasons for the collapse were simple. Because money moved so slowly, some speculated that the magnitude of the collapse would not have occurred if we could move money immediately. Although some significant banks collapsed, the system was paused, and all payments owed to all of these diverse parties were rebalanced. We were still able to avoid the cascade effect, which is one of the key reasons why 2008 was so disastrous, because many of these banks could have been bailed out immediately, but we lacked the financial resources to do so. The money was ours. These organizations may have averted disaster by utilizing funds that may have been used to prevent defaults, but the issue was the railways. We didn't have a mechanism to send the money there straight quickly, so liquidity was a concern to keep these institutions from defaulting. As a result, there was no way to effectively stop the bleeding because he was moving so slowly. The bleeding may be halted with money since institutional money is frozen all around the world. Institutions had enough cash on hand to halt the downturn, but due to the tracks, this was not possible. Because of the archaic and dysfunctional technology that maintains liquidity in our current financial system, money was going so slowly that it was frozen, resulting in a serious liquidity crisis. Chris Larsen contends that XRP is a volatile digital asset that enables fast payments and transfers of highly liquid wealth. This would have been extremely beneficial and necessary in bringing the financial crisis to a conclusion, since it delivered a level of technological sophistication not yet seen in the system. XRP is an asset that will have a transformative impact on our financial system in the future. This particular technology will be critical as we progress toward this new generation of financial systems, because no other technology allows value to be transported instantly throughout the world in fractions of a second. Chris Larsen's breakdown was all I could think about. It was honestly rather fascinating. I informed you about the approaching RP, isn't it? It's only a novel tool. the fundamental game changer that XRP is for our financial system, which is why I'm confident that as these systems advance and our infrastructure becomes more sophisticated, the largest institutions on Earth will be forced to adopt an asset similar to XRP on some level, whether it's XRP or some other digital asset. I suppose that's open to speculation, but to me, it seems so clear. Is actually from Volante, and all they're talking about is which railroads will govern our financial system in the future. Therefore, we can see that SWIFT teaches SwiftCo, Visa B2B, Visa Direct, MasterCards, Send, as well as Ripples are always present next to the world's largest payment providers. The entire Ripple ecosystem is supported by the digital asset known as XRP. As a result, will be the top option as these institutions search for new ways to instantly transmit liquidity and value throughout the globe to serve as that liquidity Ripple has. XRP is in an excellent position, and as Chris Larsen just stated, strengthening our financial system and resolving our historical difficulties will rely heavily on liquidity overall. This is a beautiful clip of Chris Larsen, and its sparks, in my opinion, are fascinating. I need to finish this video wall so it can be the focus of conversation, and that was the Ripple team and Brad Garlinghouse earlier today in the White House, right? They claim to have met with Congress to discuss foreign policy and how to clarify the Bitcoin industry's regulations. That is unquestionably critical. However, the current issue of discussion is whether or not the entire SEC matter has been closed. I do not think this. In any case, Brad, the situation is over. Garlinghouse posted a selfie on Twitter. He stated earlier today in front of the SEC offices that he had to do so well. About town. In case you were wondering, Genster did not issue us an invitation. This indicates to me that the Ripple team is still in a poor position. In my opinion, the SEC, the case is most likely still open. They haven't gotten along since Gary Genster refused to let him in. If the situation had been concluded and his settlement had been in place while they were taking this shot, they most likely would not have uploaded this photograph, which simply accentuates Gary Genster's gorgeous face. Thus, in my opinion, this does not mean the case is finished. The fact that Stuart Alderati tweeted that he was meeting with the Supreme Court, on the other hand, was quite interesting. Now this is far more interesting since, in the worst case scenario, the Ripple SEC case might wind up going to the Supreme Court. I'm not saying this is the worst. I believe it would be a good case scenario for what could go wrong for Ripple and XRP. I'll explain why in a bit, but the fact that it would take so long makes it unappealing. The fact that Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderati are meeting is noteworthy. With the Supreme Court, that is very intriguing because it implies that Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderati are already preparing the Supreme Court to hear our case if we do. Speaking about Ripple, it is called XRP. In this method, work. Consider how absurd the SEC is. Did you happen to observe what happened at the district level in our case? They are simply portraying themselves as the experts that they are. Blah, the SEC is attempting to portray these individuals as con artists, even though they are two of the most professional individuals, and that Ripple is the most professional participant in the market, which I find to be just fantastic. It demonstrates that Ripple is always one step ahead of the SEC because the latter has difficulty even putting together a sound argument. The ultimate goal has already been achieved. The Supreme Court is present, according to Ripple. Ripple will end up lubricating the meeting in the worst case scenario. Ripple, the wheels in this case, are exposing to them the near utter untruth of all that SEC claims. In the end, I found this to be quite intriguing, the most noteworthy sight I saw on my trip to DC. Ripple will probably contact legislators to seek regulatory clarification on digital assets that have been apparent for some time, but nothing has come of it. However, a conservative Supreme Court, which many attorneys have already predicted will agree with Ripple on the status of XRP when they meet, will likely favor Ripple. The fact that they were conversing with the Supreme Court only makes it mean a little bit more to the SEC. If that was the SEC, I would be quite concerned. 6 of the SEC's most recent 7 Supreme Court cases have resulted in losses. Additionally, it looks like Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderati would not mind handing the SEC another defeat in front of the country's most important court. People, I hope you enjoyed this update. Please remember to like and subscribe if you do, as they are very important.